the topic discussion. Yeah, it's the crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bust. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin'. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin'. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin'. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Man, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin'.
Yo, what's good? We're back again, ladies and gentlemen. Lake County Unfiltered. It's the boy Los Crazy. We live on another Wednesday night. And I got a special guest in the building. It's so fitting that this man is sitting across from me because the polls are open, ladies and gentlemen. And I got the Lake County clerk in the building, Anthony Vega's in the building right now.
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir. What's up, Ant? How you doing, man?
Man, we're 6 days out from the election. I could be better.
Yeah.
It could be getting sleep.
Yeah, long nights. Yeah,
long
yeah,
nights,
yeah,
long days.
yeah,
But look, we're going to get it done. People are going to come out to vote. It's going to be a great thing.
Nice.
And so it's a really exciting time.
Nice. Everybody that's watching right now, if you're voting, just hit the heart button for me for about 15 seconds. Just hit it for me. Just keep hitting it. Talk to me a little bit about, because your job is a bevy of things that you're doing on a daily, but obviously that position is ramped up around an election year. Talk to me about the contrast in when it's not an election year, what are you doing? And of course, what are you doing now to make sure that everything is going smoothly in Lake County?
Yeah, look, as clerk, I'm responsible for for elections. I'm responsible for vital records, birth, marriage, death records. I'm responsible for tax extension, so we calculate the tax rates for the districts. We are also responsible for land records. I'm the first clerk to oversee the Recorder of Deeds office, and so those are the things that I'm responsible. And just because we have an election doesn't mean I don't get to do those things
You
either.
still got to do that stuff
We got to
too.
do everything else. And so we do provide a variety of services to the people of Lake County. But every time there's an election, we are completely in charge over the conduct of elections,
Nice.
from petition filing for the candidates to looking at where polling sites are going to be located, to the recruitment, retention of our election judges, and then we're doing the thing. Right now we're in the middle of early voting, and so voting started on September 26th of this year, and we are we're working around the clock to get the job done, so every eligible voter is able to cast their ballot by November 5th.
Yeah. How crazy is, because in America you hear a lot of the candidates talk about how this election is so vital, but it's also kind of crazy. I'm not looking for your who you're going to vote for, but is there a difference in climate with this election when you look at past presidential elections? Is there do you feel a difference in the candidates and what's happening in the world? Are we turning over something new in America?
I think as a country, we've reached a new level of polarization, right? People are entrenched in their views, and that civil discourse, that disagreeing respectfully is even more rare these days. And so now people are there's that tension where people are going at it, whether it's on social media, whether it's in person, whether it's in debates that we've seen here play out. But every politician, every elected official, every advocate says this is every election cycle. They say this is the most important election of our lifetime.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of that.
Because it's true.
Yeah,
the power of the people to elect their representatives, to elect their president, happens every cycle.
Yeah,
and democracy is fragile. The voters decide whether to strengthen that democracy or to weaken it.
Yeah.
And so it is true that every single election is important. Every single election that comes around is the most important in our lifetime.
Definitely.
And so, it's no truer today than it was in 2000, than it was in 1980.
Yeah.
It is very important.
yeah. So I'm a marketing guy, right?
Sure.
I think solving every problem is figuring out some type of marketing pitch. The voter turnout in Lake County it's not as high as it should be. I remember Brandon Ewan kind of schooling me on the percentage of voters versus the amount of, it was something like that. Where I'm looking at we got more people to go. He's like, nah, we don't. I mean, this is what's typical in this county. What do we need to do to kind of bolden that response from the community to get more people out to vote? What ideas would you have, if any, to get people a little bit more involved in the civic process?
Look, every presidential election, you see usually your higher turnout elections. In Lake County, we are projecting about 70% voter turnout out of 460,000 registered voters in the county.
Gotcha.
But we know that right after this November election, we swing into the consolidated primary in Waukegan, in North Chicago, and then the consolidated election in April. Yeah. And we know that those numbers, the turnout numbers, are going to decrease dramatically. Wow. So my first election as clerk was the consolidated April election, my first countywide election. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we saw probably around 15% voter turnout across the county. So, so the issue here is not, the issue is how to keep engaging beyond the big presidential elections, beyond the gubernatorial elections that happens, every 4 years, but in the midterm cycle. Yeah. And that is a challenge for every single government official, every advocacy group, because, we have to keep engaging. Yeah. How our government, what policies they pass, how they conduct themselves, the work that's being done in our community is decided on sometimes in these April elections. I know, like the last mayoral election in Waukegan, and I know it's a big hot topic right now.
Definitely.
It's right around the corner.
It's going down.
I believe it was not even a 10% turnout. It was roughly around a 10% voter turnout. Wow. So you have a smaller group of people.
Is that why the retention is the way that it is? Maybe because it's such a small number. You get that mayor, it took 400, whatever, 30 votes to get him out or get him in. Is that?
Possibly.
Okay.
It could, right? When you have less people voting, that means that a smaller and smaller group of people are deciding the direction of the city, or if it's a county board district or what have you. But part of what I was trying to say is the other component is we also need good people to step up to run for office. Competition is good. Competition is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You look at the primary in March of this year, we had, as a county, 17% voter turnout for a presidential primary. But when you look at the ballots on both sides, both on the Democratic ticket and the Republican ticket, there weren't a lot of options. And so if you're going to vote as a voter, and you're given a ballot, and there's one person for this office, one person for that office. Where's the motivation?
Yeah.
Right. So I think it is a multi-tiered issue, but I am an elected official, and sometimes, but competition sometimes is good. Sometimes it's healthy.
Yeah. How, and when you talk about that, you talk about the breed of shout out to Wajina Briscoe, because he's always talking about millennial candidates, millennial people running. And Maury Garner, I don't know why, if you can't hear, maybe you need to reset your phone, but I think we're live. I think the sound's there. But we hear about millennial voters all the time. You're millennial yourself.
Yep.
What do you think would encourage more millennial candidates to get out there and get it? Obviously, it's an individual choice, but what ideas would you have for some millennial people out there that may be thinking about it? How important is that? Because like you said, we need more competition.
Look, I can speak to my experience. One of the reasons I ran for county clerk was because I think elections are fundamentally important to the fabric of our society. I am a child of immigrants, so naturally voting for me is at the core of who I am, because I'm not just voting for people that reflect my values. I am voting for my parents who can't vote. I'm voting for my other friends who can't exercise that right because they don't have it yet. And so to me, that was a big motivator, and I felt that in given the national context of election administration, I thought that the people of Lake County deserved a new, strong leadership when it came to elections. That being said,
because you made it cool. Before I didn't know we had a clerk. You made it cool.
Well, thank you. But I also recognize that being chief of staff to the Lake County Sheriff, being involved in politics for years, has gave me that privilege of having those connections that then propelled me to be able to run for office. And so I think when we're talking about young people, Gen Zers or millennials being involved in electorally, is looking at how many points of entry do we have for them to get involved in the political process.
Just recently, a couple of days ago, we had an incident in Oregon, Washington, where this guy, for whatever reason, decided to destroy a drop-off mail-in, I think it's a drop-off voter box. How important, and what are you doing to secure, because we have some locations as well in the region, what are you doing to secure those locations, to shore up the security in Lake County on the drop-off locations?
So in Lake County, we have 6 external drop boxes. All of those locations are on county government property. They are under video surveillance 24/7. Our drop boxes are also securely fastened to the cement, to the ground.
Gotcha.
And when a voter goes to put in the ballot, it's not like a postal box where you can like put more things in there, like because there's a lot of space. It is very limited. The opening is very limited, so you can just submit your vote by mail envelope. And so what we're seeing across the country, it's not just in Oregon. There's been other attempts to destroy ballots in those drop boxes. One, it's a big security issue, but I think we have to remember that every single voter is eligible to vote in the manner that they choose to and vote for the candidates that they choose to. It's not our right, whether we agree with them or not, to say that your vote, because that's the message they're sending, that your vote doesn't matter when it does. I will say that this year, being a big presidential year, we're taking even bigger steps for security. We're working a lot more closely with law enforcement than we ever have before, because that's the climate that we're in. You know, not only are election officials also getting threats over the phone, via email, via social media, but you have these instances where people are trying to disenfranchise voters through intimidation tactics, through the destruction of ballots. And so in Lake County, we've taken significant steps to make sure that every vote is protected.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was just thinking to myself, like the climate is, it's a bit different from my experience. When Obama ran the first time in 2008, it was obviously when he won, it was a joyous thing. But before that, it was more like a kind of anxious feeling. And then with Donald Trump and Hillary, it was kind of a similar thing because we didn't know what we were getting from Donald. Hillary, obviously, you know, she did so much. And then Joe Biden was kind of like good where he got in. But now it's like an aura that's kind of like a negative thing that you're saying, where you have more police officials connected to these things. And I just hope that, it's not really a question, I'm just making a statement. I hope that whatever happens, everything goes smoothly and we have a great situation going on. We don't have anything crazy happening. So Lake County here, I know you guys will do great. I know you guys will. I know we had a question that I wanted to get to for sure from a person. Where I'm at. Yes. Have there been any significant changes to polling locations or precincts this year that voters should be aware of?
It's a really important question.
Yeah.
So in 2022, after the census, the county was redistricted. A lot of the precincts changed, and with that came a lot of polling site changes in 2022 and even earlier this year. One of my goals as clerk was to maintain consistency with the polling places. So a lot of the polling places that we used in the primary are the same this fall. Sometimes though we have to change the site for reasons that are beyond our control. Highland Park Public Library, for example, during early voting, it's not a site this year because one, they know that they couldn't handle the flow of people coming to vote, and two, they were starting to start the renovation process.
Gotcha.
So we had to find alternates.
Gotcha.
But for your for election day, voters should go to lakevoterpower.info. That's lakevoterpower.info to get your personalized election day information, including your polling site. If your polling site changed for November, you should have received an updated voter card in the mail that had red lettering on the front that said, polling site changed.
Yeah. I got one of those.
You got one of those?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My site is, what is it, JIC? I think it's JIC.
Yeah, JIC, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you got one, make sure you look in your mail. I know most people chuck them, but those are important. Never ignore mail from the county clerk's office.
Because I knew that, because last year I saw it, but then I forgot where I voted. I mean, not last year, the last time. So it's good that. Tim, could you give me that comment again? It's because I can't see that one. Daniel Juarez, no questions, more of a comment. I'm a Village of Mundelein trustee, and I heard from residents that the process has been great and easy. I appreciate the work Vega's office has done to make sure the younger crowd is aware of their right to vote in all the community outreach his office, can't see the last part, his office has done. So shout out to him.
Appreciate it.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Daniel.
Yeah, speak to that a little bit. Speak to about how you made it easier and the younger crowd is aware of their right to vote.
So one of the biggest improvements that we've made since I assumed office is really leverage federal dollars to implement our new e-poll book system and our ballot on demand system at the polling site. So now when a voter during early voting or on election day, when they go to vote, a ballot is printed for them as they're checked in. The prior process required them to be checked in, go to a different table where an election judge would sift through boxes of ballots or a cabinet of ballots to select their correct ballot. Now we're automating that process. That means, one, it's less time that the voter has to wait as they're being processed. On average during the primary, it's about 89 seconds, which is really good. But we're also using less paper. We're being more environmentally friendly. And most people don't know this. By law, I have to keep all ballot material for 22 months after the election. Whether ballots were used or ballots were not used, everything is accounted for. And so in Lake County, we have offsite storage, and so with this system, we're able to be not only more efficient, but more environmentally friendly. But also, there's some cost savings in the long run that we will get. But so the other thing too is we've been more involved in the community. We're attending more community events. People shouldn't have to know that the county clerk's office exists. Just because they need something or because they have a problem and they're really angry. We have to be present in our communities year round, not just during election time. And it's something that I'm very proud of. I love meeting all the residents and constituents across the county, and some of the events are fun.
Absolutely.
It's always a good time to see what Lake County has to offer.
Sure. Can you share insight into early voting trends? Are you seeing more or fewer people utilizing this option?
More. So let me tell you. So 4 years ago, during the last presidential election, the highest, our record was 9,846 people voting in one day.
Wow.
This year alone, we've already broken that record. Not once, not twice, but 4 times already.
Wow.
Yesterday was the first time Lake County had over 10,000 voters vote during a single day period during early voting, which is really great.
That's huge.
And guess what? Today we beat that record.
Wow.
So we're doing really good. So people are really motivated to come out and vote. Between early voting and vote by mail, we've already had over 100,000 people vote. And so this is really exciting. What's been fascinating to me as a clerk is to see how voting behavior has changed. We have less vote by mail than 4 years ago, but 4 years ago we had COVID. So I think the people that did not do vote by mail this year are either going to do early voting or they will go on election day.
Gotcha.
So that's been really fascinating to see.
That's really awesome to hear. And what have you guys done to, as far as the poll workers, because it's a huge thing in America, obviously, but poll workers, what have you guys done to make sure that is training and all of the steps? What have you guys done to make sure we shore up that up? Even though you don't need to shore it up, but just make sure the security is what it should be. What have you guys done?
Look, for election judges, Lake County has always struggled with election judges for many different years. It's not unusual. Every single office across the country is struggling. When I took office, the election judges were one of the least paid in the whole state. They're now at a level, we've increased their compensation, and starting pay for election judges is $225.
What's an election judge?
So an election judge, who, for people that don't know, are the people that step up to serve to process voters. So when you go to vote, they're the people that are at the polling sites that check you in, that hand you your ballot, that make sure that everything's done in accordance to the laws. They usually serve just for the election. They're not full-time employees. They're people who volunteer and step up because they believe in doing their civic duty. And that's what an election judge is. And so we need in Lake County about 700 just for election day alone. And we've been very lucky. We've been really working hard on the recruitment and retention. And I'm happy to say that compared to 2 years ago, we have not only staffed every single position that we have for election day on November 5th, but we're turning election judges away because we don't have enough positions for them, it's a great problem to have, but a very, as you can imagine, a very challenging one.
What efforts have you made to increase voter engagement and accessibility? I think we kind of talked about that a little bit. The accessibility, particularly for historically underrepresented groups. What have you done in that lane?
Yeah, one of the most, I have two stories about this. One, we've partnered with Mundelein High School Transition Center. It's a program for people 18 to 21 who have varying degrees of abilities. Usually they're, limited mobility, or they're blind, or, they have different disabilities. We partnered with them twice, and we offered it to all the school districts in the county, where we held a mock election. And so they came to one of the sites one of the spaces that we got to conduct the mock election, and we showed them, this is how you come in to vote. This is what you need to give to the election judge so they can find you in their system. Not only that, but we went through every single voting option. The regular paper ballot, the regular touchscreen, that's for people with different abilities.
Yeah.
That includes the braille, that includes the hearing aid.
Yeah.
And so we walked them through every single option so they could choose the best option that works for them.
Wow.
And what ended up happening is we ended up empowering them to be able to advocate for themselves now that they know the options, instead of going into a polling site blind from like, I don't know what to ask for. Is the paper ballot the only thing available? And so that was really important. We did one in March. It was a very scaled down version, but we learned from it, and then we took it up on steroids, and we made it bigger for the fall. And so we've been very proud of that initiative.
Had your predecessor did anything like that, or?
Not to my knowledge.
Gotcha. Because that sounds very innovative. Like that's.
And it's very important too, right? Because I think voting. We all know what to do to go vote. You go to a polling site. You say, you're checked in. You vote on the paper ballot, and you fill in the ovals. But for people with different abilities. Voting can be a very intimidating act.
Sure.
And so
because it's a huge responsibility that you want to do right.
Exactly. So how can we guide them to be empowered, to feel comfortable with it? Yeah. The other thing that we did, and this is for the first time that we've done this, so the law allows a jail to be a temporary polling site during early voting. And so yesterday was the first time we had a polling site inside the jail.
Wow.
People on pretrial detention, that's people who have not been convicted yet, are eligible voters.
Yeah.
And historically, we've always done the vote by mail.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said about having some dignity in voting, about having some normalcy in a time where you are incarcerated and in pretrial detention.
Yeah.
And so we partner with the Lake County Sheriff's Office, and again, we had a very good day of making sure that they're able to cast their ballots, because their vote matters just as much as our vote.
Absolutely, that's a huge thing. Thinking about technology, to your point as before, it's kind of intimidating, and then it's kind of new for some older voters, where it's like, well, the iPads or whatever the devices is. What technology have you ingratiated yourself with in the process of voting? What's some of the actual technology that you've used?
So voters who go in person or on election day, will sign on an iPad essentially. For you voters that have done it for many years, you may remember that the little receipt used to print out, and then you'd sign the receipt, and then that would be compared. Now we're streamlining that whole process. You are signing on an iPad, and I know people say that when you sign digitally, your signature is awful or it doesn't come out right. But we took really great care in making sure we found a partner that was able to deliver. The styluses that are used, we tested multiple different versions from different manufacturers to make sure that it mimicked the flow of the pen, but also gave us a really good quality signature. Wow. And so that enables us to not only update signatures after every election, which wasn't possible before, but that also streamlines the process. And I will say, most voters, especially older voters, seem to be wary about that. But but then they're very impressed with the stylus, with how it came out, and they're like, this is definitely better than the CVS signature, which is true. But we took great care, and that's something that we've been very, very pleased with. And I will say that most of my election judges tend to be older, and they do seem to adjust well with using this new system because it's easier to use. And quite frankly, look, everyone from a 2-year-old to a 90-year-old knows how to use an iPad.
Yeah.
And the
Nowadays,
system,
definitely. For sure.
So the systems are very easy to use, and we took great care in the layout and the training for them to be able to, not only for the election judge, but also for the voter.
Gotcha. We got a couple comments. Mark Steinlein, I'm messing your name up, I'm sure. Steinlein, okay.
Mark.
Shout out to Mark. He says, enjoyed the wait time web page showing at all early voting sites. It was a very helpful. Thank you, Clerk Vega. Pamela S. Brooks is in the building. She says, I hope the seniors fill out their online applications for their mail-in ballots. We received those ballots within 3 business days. Kudos to you and your staff for the immediate attention the seniors received in getting the ballots, and they have all been mailed in. Great online process. Thanks for the feedback, guys. And if you're watching, make sure you share the video for me, guys. If you're watching here today, everybody that's watching all over YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're watching it, just hit that share button for me and smash on that like button for us right now. That'll make sure that more people see this video and they can be educated on something that they need to know for next week. And or now, you can vote tomorrow if you wanted to. When I walked in, you asked me if I voted. I said, I want to vote on the day of, you know what I mean? It's just something, I don't know, something about that Tuesday that makes me want to get out and vote.
People like the tradition.
Yes.
It's election day. There's excitement in the air. You're all, the people that are showing up to vote with you. You're in it together because you're going to vote. And I get it.
I'm going to take my son with me too, so that he could.
Is he a voter?
Well, he's only 12 now. So
almost.
He was with me on the last time I did it. So I'm going to keep that tradition alive, and he'll walk in with me, and just to keep that going. When you hear about things going haywire in the world, actually, it's a lot of things happening in the world, especially in the nation. Where does your confidence come from to do this job? Because some would say that even in this climate, that I would rather do something else. What keeps you going every day to continue this job, and with the climate up or down?
What keeps me going is my belief that ultimately people are good people, and that people simply want to improve their communities, and that we're in it together. I will say that in Illinois, since 2022, clerks are elected in the midterm cycle. In 2022, 40% of clerks in Illinois changed over. So I'm part of that new class. And that's a trend, a nationwide trend as well, simply because of that environment. A lot of people left and departed the profession entirely because of threats and the microscope that election officials are under. And it's in the pressure. Please don't get me wrong. Doing what Eric Reinhardt did. Don't get me wrong. The pressure is really intense in doing this job, because imagine being at work and you do a simple mistake that otherwise would have been a regular mistake. But it's amplified tenfold. Not only is it amplified, but some would say it's part of a greater conspiracy, or as part of a greater web of nefarious action. And so part of our job is to also help educate, which is one why I'm here. In addition to liking your company.
Absolutely.
But it's really to educate and to really show that election officials, not only are we your friends and neighbors, but we care. We care. We want to. Our job is to conduct free and fair elections, and we're doing it.
What is the biggest misconception of what the voting process today? Because a lot of people have different ideas. What is the biggest misconception?
I think one of the biggest misconceptions is that during the vote by mail process or the early voting process, that we know what the actual totals are going to be.
Gotcha.
That we don't know that. We don't know that until after polls close on election day. One of the other misconceptions generally is that there's a large number of that's super easy to commit voter fraud. I'm not saying it's not possible. It is highly unlikely, and the fact is that there are severe repercussions for those that do conduct or attempt to conduct voter fraud.
Yeah.
And so those are some of the some of the larger misconceptions. In vote by mail specifically. We unveiled our new Vote by Mail processing center, and so not only did we do tours to community advocacy groups throughout the summer, but even now as we're processing and we're checking in the return vote by mail envelopes and we're verifying signatures on the envelopes for the voters, is we have a team of poll watchers that are being sent to my office from representing both political parties. And they are that check and balance.
Nice.
Just like we have checks and balances in our branches of government, we have checks and balances in how we conduct elections.
Nice.
And poll watchers are a component of that.
Nice. It's a very, I keep talking about the climate because that's the only thing that I really, it just keeps, it stays in my head only because of the job that you have to do is you have to navigate a space that is highly scrutinized in today's world. So I appreciate you so much for doing the work that you do because you're really a grounded guy. I've seen you in many situations be grounded. Before you were the clerk, you obviously worked for the Lake County Sheriff, and I've seen you in a lot of situations where you had to be, where you could have been, where you were under pressure, but you looked like you can handle it well. So I know you do the same thing in the clerk's office. What's your last message to voters out there to get out for early voting and to make sure they get out next week? What's your last message to them?
Look, you have multiple opportunities to vote. Tomorrow's Halloween, October 31st. If you want to vote by mail, you have until 5 p.m. on October 31st to request your vote by mail ballot. You can do so at lakevoterpower.info. That is also where you go to look at your election day polling site information. You can look at your sample ballot. It also tells you in that portal your closest early voting site. We have early voting going on through November. Now, on Sunday and Monday, we only have our sites on the extended hours schedule. That's 7 sites across the county. But we have all 18 fully operational tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday.
Nice.
So you have every single opportunity to vote. And if you wait till election day like Carlos, remember that polls open at 6 a.m., they close at 7. But if you are in line by 7 p.m., you are able to cast your ballot.
Gotcha. I do want to bring this up too, because I got an idea for you. I want to chew on this a little bit.
All right.
So for the local elections, I always wanted to do, because we did a broadcast, me and Brandon did a broadcast 4 years ago. Was it 4 years ago? 2 years ago? 2 years ago, whenever it was. Yeah, we did both actually. I want to do a local reveal of the numbers as they come in. And I want to do that in connection with the clerk's office. I don't know how we could do that, but we could work on some type of interface where I'm broadcasting live like the news does, you know what I mean? And I'm able to show how many people voted there, who voted. I want to do that. It may take a little bit to do it, but I want you to chew on that.
We can. I'll definitely chew on it. There's ways to do it. I think. Right. I think. Look, on election night, our results page will start populating results.
Yeah.
We'll start with early voting and vote by mail.
Yeah.
Because people get, as soon as 7 p.m. hits, people start calling like, we want to know. It's like, be patient, folks. Be patient, folks. There are closing procedures at the election sites.
Yeah.
But we will start uploading results after 7, starting with vote by mail and early voting results, followed by election day. So there's certainly ways to do it. I think also, maybe to get to that point, to do it on election night, maybe we do like an election recap. Once the results are official. Sure. This is the turnout.
Yeah. I want to do that for sure. I'm interested in that for sure.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe we do that in April or something. We don't know. We'll see what happens. I want to thank my boy Anthony Vega for coming through, Lake County Clerk. He's always a friend of the show. Come back anytime you want to, man. No matter what Brandon says. No, I'm just joking. Shout out to Brandon Ewing.
I'm coming back for the coffee.
That's good, right?
Good.
Yeah, shout out to True Conglomerate. They do a good job. That's our production studio. Shout out to True Conglomerate. It's the Boileau's Crazy, Lake County Unfiltered. It's the Crazy Riot Show. The slogan is, if you knew better, you'd do better. Need 2 sweaters. We'll see y'all next Wednesday, y'all. Y'all be cool. Y'all be good.
Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show, man. You know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show. Hold up, you know that we bustin', yeah. Yeah, you know that we bustin', yeah. We the topic discussion, yeah. It's a crazy ride show, man. You know that we bustin', yeah. It's a crazy ride show.